Hello, 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 and welcome to this week's episode of She's All That podcast, the podcast where I speak about business. And this is Hannes, and I'm happy to have you join me again this week. Hopefully, you'll be able to have learned some things over the past few weeks. Today, I'm going to speak about following the 7-20-10 rule. If you've not heard about that, it's basically about prioritizing and well, not really prioritizing. It's just that when you aim to do more work, it will produce the best work in terms of the 70-20-10 rule. Does that make sense? So aiming to do more work will generally get you further than aiming to do excellent work. So how do you pursue your best work? How most of us want to produce the best work possible? How do you pursue that goal? Um, some of us study more than ever. You study everything you can about the area of your expertise. You read obsessively. You're anxiously practicing your craft with an eye toward perfection. This is a common sense to pursue excellence, but there's also another option. You could basically work towards doing more so you can actually be better at what you're doing. So there is one common sense way to pursue excellence. One is to completely focus on the quality, and the other to produce a lot of work without worrying about if it's much good. So, which path will get you closer to your personal best? The famous parable of the pots from David Bales and Ted Allen's book Art and Fear claims to answer the question. So, this professor divides the class into two groups. One will be graded on the quantity and the other on quality. So, the first group will have all their pots weighed, and the heavier they are, the higher the grade. The second group will be graded on the best pot they produce, no matter how much work they turn out overall. So only the best pot wins. So grading time and curious fact emerged. The works of higher quality were all produced by the group being graded for quantity. And it seems that while the quantity group was busily churning out piles of work and learning from their mistakes, the quality group had sat theorizing about perfection and in the end had little more to show for their efforts than grandiose theories and a pile of dead clay. So, in the real world, this is actually pretty applicable. The best way to come up with great way isn't to aim for great work. It's just to aim for more work. This will force us to push aside perfectionism and act in the real world and experience, even when failure comes along the way, is often the best teacher. The best thing to do is start and not be afraid of getting things wrong. So, how do you put this principle to work in your own life? So, the best way to get something isn't to just worry and study, is to actually do it, even if you get stuck for a while. Is 70% of your attempts will be mediocre, 20% will suck, and 10% will be amazing. These percentages hold steady no matter what level you're working at. Your amazing might not be the same standard as a world class performer, but even the world class performers only reach their own high bar 10% of the time. So, how do you apply this to marketing? If it comes to content marketing, according to several creative and content blogs, 70-20-10 model, when applied, should be broken down into the following. 70% of content should be proven content that supports building your brand or attracting visitors to your site. 20% of content should be premier content, which may be more costly or risky, but has a bigger potential new audience. For example, viral videos or infographics. 10% of content should be more experimental. And in terms of social media marketing, perhaps you're looking at Facebook. 70% of Facebook posts should be proven content that supports your building your brand. 20% should be content from others promoting another's business or sharing interesting articles written by another and tagging them. And 10% should be call to action in nature, so sales, discounts, introductions on new offerings. And this type of posting mix can also apply across different social networks, not just Facebook. So some of you might argue that you should share more than 20% of content from others, but many social feeds are just too promotional, too salesy. So, in summary, it should be suggested that 70% of your content should be your bread and butter campaigns. 20% should be programmatic, which is more rules driven and automated in response, perhaps, or of course, sharing other people's content. And finally, 10% of your marketing should be purely responsive. That means it's completely unpredictable or real time marketing according to current issues. So I hope that this will help you in your business 70, 20, 10% in terms of productivity and learning, and also in your marketing efforts. So thank you again for joining us this week on She's All That podcast. And do subscribe if you like our content. See you next week.